What's going on? What's happening, everybody? I didn't know we were on. I didn't hear the music. Did you guys hear the music?
I didn't hear the music, but that's okay. We're here.
Okay, we didn't hear the music. We're good to go. I'm glad I looked up. I was sitting looking at my computer. I would go like, oh, there's the boys. Dusty, Kassian, Gage are with you. The Edmonton Oilers go for history tonight as they look for win 17 right here in Vegas. Did you guys see what happened on the Hangout today?
I did. I heard it. I saw the text. I saw it.
My God. Bob Stauffer rolls in out of nowhere and no longer will be known as future EST guest. He will now be known as one-time EST guest. So we did the show and I went back to the room, thought I'd try to crush a nap, ended up just laying there watching The Big Short for about 25 minutes. And I was like, screw it, I'll shower and get back up. I look on my phone. I'd been off of it for like half an hour, and people are like, "Oh my God, look what happened! Stop, NEST history." Like everybody was just absolutely loving it. And then I saw him. He circled back around once I got back down here to do Lock Shop. So look, Gager, when you go to Vegas, the big players come out. It's just that simple.
Yeah, it's like everyone knows when the whales come in, right? I mean,
yeah,
the comped rooms for Stoff is probably like he's up there in a suite right now overlooking Vegas. It's just to be part of the Stauffer experience. And maybe that's what you can sell next time. Go with the Stauffer experience in Vegas. I would love to be part of that.
That would, you know what? That would be something. Hey, the Stoff experience in Vegas, where you're like not supposed to go to casinos, but you walk through them once in a while anyway. Let's see what ends up happening there. Cass, what's going on, buddy? How you doing?
I'm good. Say I survived being a single parent over the weekend. My wife was out of town, so
congratulations, Cass. As one father to another. I don't even know if I could do it with two. Here you are with three.
Yeah, we made it through. And you know what? We had a good time. Like we did lots of stuff. It wasn't just all video games and TV. So it was good. It was good. Girls had their second day skating, like learning. And,
okay.
Actually, it's in the Oilers. If you haven't done it, if your kids have never played hockey, I'm going to plug them here. They're not a sponsor, but it's a fantastic program. Is the Edmonton Oilers NHLPA first shift program, which if your kids never played hockey, you get them all the equipment, and they get 6 on ice sessions, and they have absolutely loved it, which warms my heart. And it was such a step up for them the first or the second day. This was their second time doing it after the first, where it was like, there were some tears. Day one, for my oldest in particular, who really struggles with, like, she doesn't like trying new things, but she absolutely loved it and loved the second time. The coaches have all been great. So yeah, if you have kids that want to play hockey, you want to get them in something, I would highly recommend that program. It's been absolutely great. So, so we did that, which was a lot of fun. And then, yeah, like I said, we survived. We survived.
And after they do that and they get into the sport, when they're in their second year U9, they can go play a bunch of small town teams and lose by 30, as we witnessed over the weekend. We took the U9 team, and we're a tier 2 team, and we went to a tournament on Barhead, and we got put into, there was a tier 3, tier 2, tier 1 category. And I don't know how we ended up in the tier 1 category, but I mean, we got smoked. It took me back to my days when I went to school in Cranbrook and went to school with all the guys who played on the Cranbrook team, but I lived on a farm that was a little bit closer to Kimberley. So I played hockey in Kimberley, and we would play Cranbrook, and Kimberley wasn't as good at the time, and I was a goalie, and we'd lose like 24-2. And then I'd have to go to school with these guys the next day with none of my teammates around. And it was just like, oh my God. So I don't know. I tried to, like, the kids, as long as they got to go to the pool and bowling, it didn't matter, right? We played some good U9 teams out there. The Westlock team was absolutely insane. But I was like, I wonder if this is, I don't know where you guys come out of this. It probably wasn't good for them, but I also know that when we get back to be playing tier 2 teams, I think they'll have a better level of work ethic for how hard they had to work just to try to keep up with the tier 1 team. What do you think?
Oh yeah. Big eye opener always when you face the Goliaths the urban legend of the team out east or west or north south that's really good. I mean the biggest eye opener for me personally was playing in the Lower Mainland, where there was good hockey players, but nothing compared to when you come out to the prairies and things like that, right?
Okay.
So when I first went to Notre Dame and the first day out on the ice, I was like, who are these kids? Like, how are they able to shooting the puck, and you can hear it like when it hits the glass. It's not, like it was just a
It can raise it and actually hit the glass.
Yeah, they're shooting in stride, and they're like they're hitting like Mack trucks. I was like, Dorothy wasn't in Kansas anymore. Let's just put it that way.
Cass, did you ever? I mean, were you on pretty good teams growing up? Or did you ever take a real good barefoot spanking like the boys did?
we had a lot. I was a late bloomer, so I had to beg my parents to let me try out for rep league teams. Now I usually play.
I remember you saying that. Yeah, so you would just play house league.
So I was just playing house league, and usually most often on the highest tier in house league. But there were some times, when you play, and it was like your small town teams because they don't necessarily even have rep programs, and so it's like they have some of those kids that were playing on the higher tier teams, and sometimes you just get absolutely crushed, which it is what it is. It's a learning experience, right? So
there's one kid on Westlock. I talked about him Monday on our show, and his uncle texted in. He's like, "That's my uncle. That's my nephew you're talking about." And I think his name's Nash Brand. And I'm telling you, we'll be talking about him on Two Guys and a Goalie at some point. This kid, he looked like he was 12. Like, it was absolutely insane. And he had the best edge work I've seen in person, like with any sort of human that's not like under 16 years old. Like, this kid was insane. I was amazed by the things he did. I almost got to the point where I was cheering for him. I was like, my God, look at this guy. Like, can you sign this jersey before the game? He was absolutely incredible, man. So it was a learning experience for sure. But as long as they they could have lost 100-0. And the moment they get into a pool with a water slide, it's like, it doesn't matter what just happened. Like, they were just, it was the best. Like, one of the kids' parents messaged us the next day, and I just want to tell you, Davin just said he had the best weekend ever, and we literally lost 4 games by at least 25 goals each time. They loved it.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot of fun. Those tournaments are great, man. I don't know if I want to get to a point where like we're doing tournaments every weekend, like some teams would be, but like I like mixing in 2 to 3 tournaments a year. It's a lot of fun for the kids. We're in the Stollery one next, which should end up being pretty fun as well. All right, boys, 17 in a row. What would this mean to the Oilers? I know the fans would be fired up for it, but for that team, what would you think this means to the Oil?
Like I said, I just think it's more than just the 17. It's obviously that's a big part of it, but I think beating the Golden Knights at this time of the year, closing the gap, reeling them in the fight for home ice advantage in the playoffs. There's so many little underlying things here that add to the flavor of this game tonight. It's I don't know if it's the biggest game of the season or tonight. We all know what's happening in Winnipeg with Pittsburgh. I mean, I think that is the marquee matchup with one Jesse Puljujarvi coming back into the NHL, and
how about that?
And we all know that it's hurting Dusty. I don't know if the EST jet is fired up to get out there for maybe a period before you come back to Vegas, but it's a big night of hockey tonight. Let's just say that.
Yeah,
big night,
big,
sure.
huge night. I mean, I think more than anything, and Gator, you touched on it, but I'm going to hammer this point home. More than anything, more than the 17-game win streak, you're playing a team you very well will be playing in the first round, and this closes the gap to 3 points. That's what you're looking at. This closes the gap to 3 points with 5 games on hand, and just the psychological thought behind let's beat these guys. Let's work towards home ice advantage in the playoffs. And who knows? You still got 4 games in hand on Vancouver. Vancouver could hit a skid. You catch them potentially. It's still going to take a lot. You're still 11 points back as of right now. But to be able to say we are 3 points back, we have 5 games on hand. Let's get in front of these guys and let's start prepping ourselves mentally to beat these blankety blanks in the playoffs. That's what it's at. I mean, I think the 17 is something, obviously they're going to think about it, maybe talk about it a little bit, but your focus and this group's focus is all on that. Let's start to work towards beating this team that knocked us out of playoffs last year, the defending Stanley Cup champions, that we most likely are going to have to go through to win a Stanley Cup ourselves, which is going to be no easy feat when they bring back players and are 20 million over the salary cap in playoffs. But let's start that mentality of beating them right now. So it's all about the Benjamins, right? It's all about that 2 points, all about just closing the gap with Vegas to put yourself in a spot. Because really, I mean, if you look at it, you know, the difference between being 3 points back and being 7 points back with 5 games in hand, that's a big difference.
Yeah, it is.
That's a really big difference. So to me, it's just 100% about that. About let's start working towards home ice. We're going to have to go through these guys most likely at some point. Let's mentally just start engaging ourselves for that battle right now.
Gage, the Vegas team that beat the Oilers last year, and the Oilers had a lead in every single game in that series. Like it was just they didn't like. Last year's team knew how to get the lead, but they didn't know how to hold it. This year's team does. So maybe I'm answering this question before I even throw it at you guys, but how much better suited do you think these Oilers are to beat the Vegas team that we saw last year? Like, I know Vegas isn't going to be exactly the same, but that's kind of the bar. That's sort of the hurdle, Gager. Do you think they are much better suited to beat them, or is it still come playoff time? You know, that bottom six on Vegas will grind you, and they're bigger, and there could still certainly be a path to success there for Vegas, but are the Oilers in a better spot?
I do think that they are in a better spot, but for a different reason.
Okay.
You say they're better at locking down games. I say they're better at playing a game where either they're down or the score is tied. This is a different Oilers team than we saw last year, where essentially it was a power play and the ability to outscore their problems was what they used mostly, what they relied on, right? They got into games where they were all of a sudden tight checking. The chances weren't coming as profusely as they were before. The Golden Knights penalty kill was matching that Oilers power play quite well in that series. So now I just think they will be more comfortable either being up to, down to, or even at any point in that game, knowing that they have the ability. The fact that they've developed this strength of coming back in thirds and just dropping the hammer and blowing the doors off teams in those third periods. That's you rarely see that in the NHL. Most of the time you go into the third when down a goal, you don't see that other team coming back. And in the last few months, the Oilers have not only, if it's tied or down, they've come back and they've won that game in the third period. So I really don't think you can compare the two Oiler teams, because they're in completely different places from last year to this year.
What do you think, Cass?
I was going to ask you, Dusty, what do you think the biggest difference between the Oilers team now is compared to last year? What's the biggest difference in your mind?
Well, they've allowed 18 goals in the last 14 games, right? So, I mean, that has to be the one. The fact that they are not giving up really much at all, especially off the rush compared to the beginning of the season. But I just think they're much more sound defensively than they were last year. So yeah, I guess that would be my answer, Cass.
Yeah, I mean they are. So yeah, going to be two different teams. I'm interested to see just mentally how they respond. I mean, you're coming out of a break. You do have the 17, and it is the biggest game of the year. Like,
is that a legitimate talking point, Cass? Like you played. I mean, I know, like if you go at TSN right now, main headline is
I anticipate a high-speed game, a fast-paced game. There's going to be a lot of energy, but there could be a little bit of slop. I don't think it, the break helps or hurts. And again, I don't think this team is going to be focused on this is 17 in a row. Now, it's going to be in the back of the minds, but I think the focus and the talk in the dressing room is just all going to be about this is a team we're going to have to go through. This is the team that knocked us out. This is the team that won the Stanley Cup. That's what the conversation is going to be. It's not going to be on the 17. So I know it's a nice storyline to talk about it, but to me, both teams are in the same place coming through the break. And I don't think Edmonton's focus ever has been on let's set the record, let's break the record. Now it's nice, to set a Canadian record. It's nice for Stuart Skinner to set an Oilers record. It's great, and they're happy to do that. But this team's focused on winning, which has been such a huge part of why they have found ways to win. Is like, no, we're just focused in the next game, and the next game, and the next game. And I think they're taking that same mentality into tonight.
You can text us anytime, 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999. Propane Pimp is in. Sorry we lost the audio briefly there, but we're back, so that's good. And that was what's funny is the audio issues here really haven't been with us today. It's kind of been like some demons in the old EST offices back there. The internet here has actually been really good so far, which is awesome because we're just connected to like a wide open Wi-Fi. When we got here last night, they're like, yeah, it's just an open Wi-Fi network. Matt and I looked at each other like, oh no, like how many people are going to be on this network? Like, what's going to happen? But we set up right next to the conference center, and I think we're kind of milking a little bit of a stronger signal, which is nice. The Propane Pimp is in. It says the difference between the two teams is this year's team is showing so far that they're able to be comfortable in tight games. Last year's team never looked comfortable with the lead. Yeah, last year, right? Gage, I'll throw this at you. The panic. Like last year, you could tell that they started gripping sticks a little bit tighter in some tough spots. And this year, like if you watch the Edmonton Oilers play, you don't know if they're winning 3-2 or they're losing 4-1. Like it just seems like it's the same game all the time.
Well, I think too that you see the maturity of the big dogs of managing the game. Ekholm at the beginning of the year, right? He had that great speech. You don't have to have these huge shifts every shift time you go out there. Like playing a solid shift, like even shift is okay as well. And I think if you were to look into the last year's games, in tight situations, it seemed like an anxious child trying to having to do, I got to do something. I got to make something happen. And sometimes the game management got away from them. And that's when they got in trouble with trying to find something that wasn't there, making something out of nothing, not taking what the other team gives you. So that's, I think, one of the main reasons why this year, when you watch an Oilers game, you don't have that sense of, possible dread coming soon, because they're not playing at that, every time I come over the boards, I have to create something special. Just playing sound defensive hockey and making good decisions with the puck is also a really good shift, especially against a team like Vegas.
Cass, is that just messaging from the coaching staff? Is that where that comes from? Or is that like something you're doing fundamentally, or what is that?
It's a mentality. Now, whether it comes from just the players in the room or the coaching staff, I mean, it probably comes from a variety of different angles, but that's what they would have been telling them before. I mean, the phrase that me and Tommy have used over and over on the pre and post game show is patience and maturity, and that's what they've shown. They didn't show it at the start of the year, and they've shown it now. I mean, we could talk all day and speculate about, is it just the coaching, is it just the players, combination of the two, what is it? And it probably is a combination of the two, but what percentage, if we're going to assign a percentage to it, I don't know, but it's wherever it's coming from, it has been a tremendous growth of that patience and maturity. And that's, Gage described it in more detail. I don't need to break it down again. Like, that's what they're showing.
What do you guys expect from Cory Perry tonight?
Aggression.
I think a message sent
into this. Yeah, like I'm here now, part of this. Like it's kind of a missed opportunity if you. And I'm not saying go out and fight somebody, but Cory Perry does a Cory Perry thing tonight, doesn't he?
Oh, he has to. Yeah. He has to. I mean, this is a tremendous example, and it's still early. Like he's only played one game, so let's. I mean, we still gotta provide him with some grace from an overall play standpoint. Like he's still getting back into it, but with the gravity of the game, I fully expect him to go Cory Perry. I mean, you want to see as a fan, and I think as a team, and as a teammate, you want to see him play that playoff style hockey for Cory Perry, which just means be a pest, drive people crazy, be annoying, be in it, and do something, as you said, Dusty, very Cory Perry like. That would be amazing.
Yeah, I fully expect him to be in the hard areas, in the blue paint, causing havoc.
And
You're
Alex
going to see
Angelo's face, man. Like just
yeah, having another guy to get into his kitchen a little bit more, just like the Oilers did in that playoff series. I thought they were doing a tremendous job of getting into his kitchen, but he won overall in the end, which was complete. Well, it was a complete joke, but I just think adding another player that the Golden Knights probably are going to focus on more so than the actual game itself can only help the Oilers' chances.
Here's a question for you guys.
Yeah. By the way, let me say this. I love when you guys ask questions. I get very excited to answer.
No, I know. I'm trying. You know what? That was one of my internal resolutions was like, I want to ask Dusty more questions.
Your annual work review.
Yeah, is ask Dusty more questions and get more guests on because we never do that.
We definitely do that.
We can definitely do that. Those are my two resolutions. If the Oilers, let's say either the Oilers or the Vegas Golden Knights in the third period, midway through the period, are up by 3 goals, either team, would you be supportive of Cory Perry taking a 5 and a suspension to tomahawk chop like just boom? Alex Pietrangelo.
My God. I mean, I did not expect ask less questions. Okay. It's funny because people are already talking about it in the nasty chat too. I do not want to sit here and condone violence, but I'm not going to criticize them if something like that happens. I'll say that. I mean, that's one thing. If you want to get to the heart of your new team right away, you got this guy last year who completely rattled them in the playoffs. Do the same. That would be. Can you imagine the post-game show tonight if Cory?
Oh, that'd be unreal. That'd be unreal. Let me follow it up with this. Maybe not like taking a 5 and actively trying to hurt, but how do you think it affects?
By the way, everybody in the chat's like, yes, all day.
Yeah, go crazy. How do you guys think it affects the team if Cory Perry goes after Pietrangelo, not to fight him, not to take a penalty, but like gets in his grill in the first 5 minutes of the game, like first shift out, first opportunity he has, and he just goes after him a little bit. Like,
they
how
win
do you
that
think?
game. Do others win that game?
So?
I think they would be I think they'd be like, yes, it took him 2 games, but he gets it. Like he's here. Like, I think I don't know, Gager. You correct me here. I mean, I think they would absolutely just be fired up with that.
Oh, I can put 95% guarantee on if there's a scrum. I could see a scrum in front of the net with Cory Perry, accidentally on purpose falling in there with a cross check to the back, grabbing Pietrangelo out of a pile with a face wash and trying to get something done that way, right? I think just announce his presence with authority, just like Nuke LaLoosh, baby.
Yeah.
Come in there.
I want to announce my presence with authority.
and something like I definitely. Yeah, I think both teams are looking to probably do something along these lines, right? Like the psychological warfare of hockey is a necessity at times. We saw what happened last year with what Pietrangelo did completely through Leon Draisaitl. He was out of the series. He was rattled. He was completely rattled at that point. So, and the biggest thing I think is just winning in that building too. Going in there into their rink, it's a tough place to play. Pulling the 2 points, closing the gap. I mean, not only the physical play and sending a message, but I think the overall victory of the game is, if things get out of hand, maybe it gets a little bit squirrely, but I think that's the most important thing.
Chris is in. Another Oilers fan just came by. I think he came up the elevator looking for us because he got to the top of the elevator. I looked at it, waved at him, and then he just turned around and went back down. He could have come over and said hi or something. We could have taken a picture. Chris is in and says, guys, I was in the Knights practice arena on Sunday, and all their fans said all they said was how they beat us last year, and they're going to end the streak. It's going to be great to get 17 tonight. Pumped to be in the building. I love the fact that like Golden Knights fans are like, not here, not against us. And Cass, do you think the Golden Knights feel the same way? Like, do you think the Golden Knights want to take pride in not allowing their rivals to set this record?
Well, just like I think Edmonton's
game tonight. I'm fired up.
Oh yeah, just like Edmonton's focus is on, just let's stick with the process. This is a team we're going to have to go through. The Golden Knights, they're probably trying to say that as well, but they also don't want to be the team where Edmonton ties a record. Like I think there's more onus, whatever, on them to do that than on Edmonton to actually get it. Right? Like there's going to be more discussion and more tingling in the back of their brains about that. So, even if the fans are saying that and thinking that, it's unreal, which is going to make it a fun atmosphere, especially with, the whole EST crew being there and a lot of other Oilers fans. Like it should be a pretty rabid crowd tonight, which will be awesome. It's going to be a fun one.
I think it's going to be absolutely amazing. How's it going, guys? So the Oilers lineup tonight: McDavid between Hyman and Nuge, Draisaitl between Fogle and Kane, McLeod between Perry and Holloway, and Ryan between Brown and Matthias. Yeah, Mark, Nurse, Ceci, Ekholm, Bouchard, Desharnais, and Kulak. Your thoughts on that line combination sticking the same? I got to talk with these guys. You guys take that.
I love it. It needs to be done, especially against a team like Vegas. There's certain teams I think you can load up Connor and Leon together because they just don't have an answer for it. But with a balanced attack with Vegas, gives them something has to be done with if both lines are going, and it creates issues matchup wise. Vegas is a good defensive team, and when you put those two guys together, I think it makes it easier, especially being on the road, to get the proper matchups that you want against two of the best players in the world.
Yeah. I mean, I thought they were going to make a bigger switch coming out of the break. I thought they were going to revert, but hey, you won a couple games with it. You want to try to give them fits, and who's to say you can't change it if you need to, Gager? Like you can adjust if needed. So it's like depending on what matchups happen, and really you're trying and you're looking at the Vegas Golden Knights and looking at their lineup and saying, okay, what do they have right now? Who's in and who's out of the lineup? And to go with that group, I mean, you're trying to put pressure on them. Now, I would say that the success of this may all hinge on that Ryan Nugent-Hopkins line. And so, Gager, here's a question for you: is what do you think that Ryan Nugent-Hopkins' line has to do tonight, aside from just scoring more goals than the Vegas Golden Knights? But as far as stylistically and play-wise, what does that group have to do tonight to make this a successful game for the Edmonton Oilers?
Well, I mean, their ability to have sustained offensive pressure while having that same great game management mentality too, right? Like not what I mentioned before, not always trying to find something that isn't there. Gain momentum for the next shift going out there. They've done. I mean, there's been times when that line has looked like it's a power play on there, right? With those guys. So establishing dominance, I think, is important. I don't really have an issue with that line, Cass. I think they're going to be just fine. It's the chemistry between Draisaitl and Kane that I think needs to get to the next level. That's more important at this point right now. And it has it been terrible? No, but has it been what I think it can be? Not at all. So I really want to see if coming back after this break that those two can kind of start looking like a dynamic duo and doing some things that I think that their skill set allows, especially all over the ice, but especially in the offensive zone.
I'm back. Just had a chat with a couple of guys here. Okay, somebody asked in the nasty chat about the when do they make up their games in hand? Because it seems like they've had games in hand forever, and it's like they still have them. They're playing more. They still have them. I looked at the schedule here, boys, and in April, so leading into the playoffs, over the final 18 games of the season, they played 10 games in 18 days. Cash, your thoughts on, like, that's where they're going to make up a lot of these games, 10 games in 18 days. They finish with back-to-backs and then a break, then one more, then a break, then back-to-backs again. So 2 back-to-backs in the final 7 days of the season. All of a sudden that adds up a little bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, and that's why you got to manage Stuart Skinner's volume here now. And I mean, that's why it's important now to put yourself in as good of a position possible so that in those games and in those back-to-backs, you're not playing McDavid and Draisaitl 25 minutes each, right? Like you try to work through everybody in the lineup. So the games now, before you make up those games, are just even more important so you can rest accordingly heading into it so you're not exhausted, come playoff time.
Gage, what do you think? I'll ask you this one. Over that final stretch, how many games does Skinner play? Because that's when the workload is right before playoffs, right? Like 10 games over the final 18 days. Skinner plays what, 7 of them? Maybe 8?
Depends on where they are and the positioning of everyone else at that point, right? If there's a spot locked down, if I don't know, if the Canucks are in reach, or if they're out of reach, like, do I play Skinner a little bit more at that point? I have to wait and see what the whole situation is. I can't say for sure. Of course, I'd like to see Pickard get in as much as possible, especially, and we'll probably see him definitely in those back-to-back situations. But man, that's a heavy workload going into the playoffs, but that can also help too, right? Hit the ground running because you're playing every second night anyways once the playoffs start, and getting a good launching board into there is great as well. I can't believe that Tom Gazzola has been married 3 times already, and
annulled.
4 times, 3 annulments. So yeah. Good work under 24 hours. Tom Gazzola, good job, buddy.
To talk about Jesse Puljujarvi, I got to pop off and talk to this guy here. You guys talk about JP getting a 2-year deal with the Penguins.
Oh my gosh!
I was surprised it wasn't just a 1-year deal. I mean, good for him to negotiate a 2-year pop out of this, Gage. I don't know what you think, but I was surprised whether it was 2 years. I was like, 1 year, not overly shocked. He had quite a bit of success playing in the AHL. Like he was showing that he can still play and put up points and produce. Like he was doing a lot of things well, which is great. I was still surprised it was a 2-year deal.
Well, I think what added to it was the fact that he basically the year off, right? Not almost 2, just not playing at all. And coming back after double hip surgery like that's impressive on its own. But then to put up points, like you said, and look, the Pittsburgh Penguins, I mean, there's rumblings of are they going to blow this thing up, and are Crosby and Malkin and Letang, are they going to be this trade deadline, depending on where they're at? It'll be interesting to see if something happens.
I got a theory.
Yeah.
I got a theory is that for Sidney Crosby, this is my theory. Eichel's injury takes longer to recover.
Oh, don't even. I just got back. Stop. Are you going where I think you're going to go? Come on,
the
man.
Vegas Golden Knights trade for Sidney Crosby.
Away? My God.
And Eichel magnificently, magically, mystically recovers just in time for playoffs.
Oh God, I can see it. The thing is, it's not that far fetched.
No, it's not. That's the thing.
There's no way.
Oh,
it probably doesn't happen. I mean, I'm being a little facetious, but it could happen.
If Eichel goes on LTIR here in the next, we know that they're fishing, right? Like,
yeah, they're looking for something. Yeah.
They're looking for something. So what does that free up? Not 10? What is that?
I think it's enough to get Crosby. I can't remember what Crosby's at this year.
It's enough to get Crosby, because Crosby's 8.5 or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So,
Sidney Crosby wouldn't do that. Sidney Crosby, he's too upstanding. Like, there's no way Sidney Crosby does something sketchy like that. That would kill. I think that would be brutal. Anyway, let me bring you up to speed on what's been happening around here. Sorry, I had to step away. So we've been here since 5 o'clock we've been here since like 4:30 this morning in this same location. And, some security guards have eyed things up so far. But we got an email from the lady here because we wanted to get into like just a little conference room or something. But it's Super Bowl week, like tons of stuff's already booked. And there's a conference going on right down here. But the lady that I was exchanging with said, she goes, there's some tables and chairs up on the second floor that are kind of first come, first serve in the morning. Like if you want to set up. So we're like, okay. So we came down here last night, checked it out, got this little corner space. there's nobody else really even at any of the other tables anyway. But yeah, these 2 security guards come over and they're like, "Oh, we need to talk to you." And they're like, "We're not sure you're allowed to be here." They said that this whole area is supposed to be like CBS sports rights or something. But I mean, yeah, well, we're Edmonton Sports Talk, and we have the 6 o'clock lager, so you'll just talk. Actually, I sweet talked him as much as I could, and now I've got the email of like the manager of the Park MGM, and I have to forward him the email that I have saying we can set up anywhere on the 2nd floor. So we'll see. We might be doing it from our rooms tomorrow, but I think we'll be back. This nice guy. You know what? I'll say this. A lot of the Americans I met so far are awesome people. They're just great.
Here's another solution. Just do it at Tom's wife number 5 at her place.
Yeah. Tommy Goalie is like, so he gets up here today. So this is a classic Tommy story. So I'm obviously exhausted. We slept for like 3.5 hours last night. We just banged out the morning show. Tommy gets here to do the hangout today, like 10 minutes after DVD, right before we're about to start. I'm ready to grab my bag and go have a nap so I can get some sleep. And Tommy goes, "Hey, can you go grab me a coffee?" I was like, you just got here. You could have brought a coffee. So then I go down. The Starbucks here at Park MGM was like, I'm not lying, guys. It's like people might think I'm exaggerating, but I'm not. It was 30 deep, 30 people deep, and about 20 waiting for their orders. And I'm like, I've got a window here of about maybe 60 minutes to catch a nap. I'm not spending 30 of it in a lineup for a coffee. So then I actually went to the Circle Bar in the casino where they have all the booze. And I was like, "Do you guys have coffee?" And they're like, "Yeah, no problem." So I got 2 coffees. Cost me like $12. But I got coffee for him and DVD and managed to get out of here. But I thought that was very Tommy to like roll in pretty much late and be like, "Oh man, late night. Can you get me a coffee?" And it's like, 4:30. So yeah, it was that was kind of funny. Hey, did you guys say good things about Puljujarvi? I totally missed it. This is pretty good for him, right? Like good for him to get a deal. Okay, they gave him a shot in the AHL, 9 points in 3 games. He had a great forecheck that led to a goal, and I think his last game there, he scored 4 goals. Like maybe the American League's just where he can do that now, but I thought it's interesting. And I was watching them, the Pittsburgh media interview Sullivan, and like they were asking, like, "Do you think you'll work him in on the power play and stuff?" So I don't know what the current situation is in Pittsburgh on their power play, but I think overall, coming off double hip surgery again, this is a pretty good step for a guy who's still trying to grind it out when he could go and make more in Europe anyway.
You know, Dusty, what I remember a lot about Puljujarvi was when he did get like some cookie time on the power play, his puck retrieval in the offensive zone with that long, lanky body and breaking up plays and causing chaos. Not a lot of guys have that ability, right? Like, so and I don't know if I haven't watched a lot of Pittsburgh, but just looking into them from time to time, their power play has really struggled at times, right? And maybe having a big body that you can plant in front and you know the get the crazy legs going with Gregor's Bane, you never know what can happen, right?
Yeah, he's just got to use his head to get in the goalie's eyes.
Yeah.
He's that big old noggin with that tiny little helmet.
Big body. See what?
Did they get him a helmet that fit in Pittsburgh? Is that why? Is that?
Yeah, maybe that's how it works. I don't know. I mean, I hope like. It could be a third line guy in Pittsburgh next year for $800,000.
Yeah, you hope so.
Kind of a win-win for everybody, right?
Yep.
March 3rd, is it the return?
March 3rd. Yes, Puljujarvi. Probably at that point playing alongside Sidney Crosby on the top line.
Dusty
back here in Edmonton with the Pittsburgh Penguins. I had a little bit. It was my ugly on Monday show on the Nielson show because like the Penguins announced we signed Puljujarvi to a 2-year deal. And there's just like Oilers fans sliding into the replies being like, "Oh, he's a bust." Like, "Oh, this is never going to work." I'm just like, man, just let it go. Just let it go. And that's coming from a guy who tweeted out every goal he scored in Europe when he was over there before he came back. And that's me being like, you guys got to let this thing go. Because I don't know. I don't know what he ever did to hurt Oilers fans.
It just didn't pan out. That's what he did to hurt it. Dusty, how sad will you be if there's not like a long video tribute for him?
Well, I mean, I plan on hacking the scoreboard and making a long tribute video for him. So, I mean, I guess there will be. Now, what do? You put him up on the screen and just he waves once? Is that You think what happens? Like, there's no
Yeah,
actual
probably.
tribute.
I don't think there's a full video.
No.
Maybe like a quick 1 or 2 clips, and they get the little wave.
I think it's a little wave. I think this requires a little wave, and that's probably about it.
No, man. There's a 4-minute tribute of him with his Halloween costume designs, which are epic. You probably have the time when he jumped in someone's car and have that.
Oh yeah,
like,
that was
audio and video going.
That was,
and then just him roaming the tundra with bison in the background. That's what you do. Perfect. None of the hockey stuff.
That would be, yeah. He did have some great, like, what was his best off ice moment? It had to have been hopping in the truck, right? Or I mean, he became Bison King because of the Bison photo. Cass, what do you think? What do you think was his most legendary off ice moment?
Probably the hopping in the car. That to me, that's pretty big. That is pretty big. Yeah, that was good.
With his hockey bag too, though.
Like, yeah, no, that's what. But that's what makes it. It's like it was everything.
Walking home from the rink with a hockey bag.
With a hockey bag. That's unbelievable.
And a stranger picks you up off the street, because at the end of that video, he's like, "Oh, right here. Like, this is where I am." Just, yeah.
And the driver couldn't be more Canadian too.
Yep.
Like with full Canadian accent. Looky here, right here, eh?
Yeah.
Puljujarvi, eh? It was epic.
That was very funny. My goodness. Yeah. Okay. So best of luck to Puljujarvi. See what happens when circles back around here in March with the Pittsburgh Penguins, and if he's able to get a deal. All right. Let's see here. X-Ray J's asking, I don't know where you guys come out on this. What are people's thoughts on cap relief for the teams who have those 5 Hockey Canada guys? They're going to get some cap relief in that situation. I mean, is that kind of cash? You view that as something that's out of the team's hands, so it's different than other situations, or? I'm trying to think when we've seen player situations in the past where there's been an off-ice issue or incident, have teams provided cap relief or got it? I don't. Yeah, I mean, somebody in the chat could probably tell us, bring us up to speed on that one. I would kind of want to see what the historical precedent is, because I'm unsure. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I understand it. I mean, from a legal standpoint, things aren't going to wrap up quickly. Like, it's gonna take some time, and you can't really bring these guys back for it. So, yeah, I'm not. I guess I'm not opposed to it. Because it is just so far out of the team's control. Now, with that being said, you have to look to the future, and if there's conviction, then what does that mean? Well, the players are probably going to get, the contracts will probably get scrapped. Depending, actually, you'd have to see timeline. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of questions, and some of them are legal questions. Might be better off getting a fan of the show, Eric Macramella, on here. He will be on tomorrow on the Nielson show. Yeah, yeah. So he'll probably have a better answer for you on that one. But is just my general thought on it. I don't know. I don't mind it, guys. What do you think? I don't see how the teams can be punished for the players' actions, but all these deals are ending at the end of this year anyways. So, I mean, what are they? I don't really have a problem with it. I don't think it's something that the team should have to bear the brunt of what has happened. They should be free to replace the players and freed up that room. That doesn't make too much sense to me. Like, by all accounts, I don't think we're going to see these players in the NHL again. Like, this is unfortunately, this has ended their professional careers in the NHL, at least anyway. I don't know necessarily about that, Gager. It all depends on what the outcome is. But Wilson, the volleyball end, which is, I think, a really good point. I wasn't aware of this or hadn't looked at this, but all of the players involved are either UFAs or RFAs at the end of the year. Yeah. So, I don't see them coming back, Cass. I think it's too much bad juju for the team that signs one of these guys to a deal after everything's said and done. Because, like you said, this could be 2 years from now. It could take time. But Gager, what if they come back and what if I mean, there's a court of public opinion and there's the actual court. I mean, and they are two very different things.
But from a legal standpoint, it's like if let's say it's all not guilty across the board, and I'm not saying I have no idea if that's what it's going to be, but if that were the case, I mean, it does open the door for them to be able to play and to be able to re-sign or sign with a team. And I mean, it could take some time, because even if, let's say, there's a conviction, well, there's an appeals process, and it could, as you say, it could take a long time. And the longer it goes, the less likely it is that they come back to play hockey in North America. But yeah, I don't know. I just think it has to shake out on a legal standpoint first before I would be willing to say that, I know for a fact they're not coming back.
This one text is in and says, guys, the only reason I'm okay with the cap relief is because it happened before they're actually even in the NHL. Like is doing it with their NHL team at the time or something along those lines.
Yeah, that's fair.
Lanny McDonald having a cardiac issue.
Oh no.
This came up yesterday, I believe. I just wonder, have you guys, like in your alumni travelings, have you had any Lanny McDonald? I have a good Lanny McDonald story, but I'm wondering, have you guys had any of these Lanny McDonald sightings?
Sightings, yes. Interactions for me, no.
No.
Enough to shake hands and gaze into one of the best dusters ever.
Mm-hmm. That's about the extent of it for me.
Real quick, very intelligent guy and really nice, like engaging from but yeah, like Cass, it's in passing. Mr. McDonald, pleasure to meet you. That's about it. Another thing that I saw today too, unfortunately, my old roommate for a few nights, unfortunately, Jason Spetz's brother passed away. So
yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah, you were roommates with him, Gager?
Team Canada, Spezza. We were doing a tour of Ontario, and he was 16 and came and joined the men's team.
Yeah,
and was our best player.
Yeah, I got to, Matt was around. He was actually around the team quite a bit. Like he was at a lot of functions in Ottawa, and he was there quite often. So yeah, that one hit yesterday a little bit, just from it's somebody that and we've been dealing with some of that stuff from an extended family standpoint is well the last little while here. So it kind of double hit on a couple fronts. So yeah, I just feel for Jason, feel for his family. That's a tough one. I got to spend some time with Matt, and so it's a tough one. It just sucks.
Lanny McDonald, he was at the Calgary airport, started having some heart issues, and two nurses happened to be walking by and helped him. And he said they might have saved his life.
Probably.
So that's worked out extremely well there. I was Lanny came in a thing with the brew house back at the downtown brew house. And he was in for an event. He was promoting. I think he had an alcohol of some sort that he was promoting, like a hard liquor. And so I was there, and we got to hang out all afternoon. It was like the two of us and a street teamer. Like it was awesome. However, there's one thing I did that day that I still regret to this moment. I was riding a Lanny McDonald high. You grew up with Lanny and the mustache and everything. And I was like, this is so cool. I think I'd only been in town for a couple of years at that point. So I still got very starstruck by guys that I grew up watching and stuff. And he had his Calgary Flames Stanley Cup ring on. And he's like, you want to wear this? And they beat my hero, right? They and I should have never, ever, ever done it. But I was just like, yeah, let's do it. So I took his Flame Stanley Cup ring, put it on, took a picture like this with him standing next to me. We're all fired up. Sent it to my buddies who I grew up with, and they're like, "This is blasphemous." He goes, "That was your childhood team, and here you are wearing the Calgary Flames Stanley Cup ring." And I was like, "Yeah." But so Lanny McDonald goes, "You want to wear my ring?" I'm supposed to go, "No, sorry, Lanny." I couldn't do it. So I'm not gonna say he forced me into it, but yeah, that one. You know what else I can't stand? Like, Lanny McDonald is a Leaf. It's just he's a Calgary Flame to me. He was always a Calgary Flame to me. Nothing before that. He was always just a Calgary Flame, man. Always just a Calgary Flame.
I can't wait for recurring a hangout guest Bob Stauffer. I get to put on his Stanley Cup ring at sometime in the summer, hopefully, when he lets me wear it.
I don't want to read too much into it, But right before we started lock shop, Stoff was back, and he leaned over and whispered something in my ear. And that was it. Then he turned around and walked away. That was it. I can't say what it was. But wheels are emotion.
Oh my gosh.
Wheels are emotion. If this is what the wheels sign.
Wow.
So yeah, it was a big one. It was a big one. The walk over, the lean in. He's like, "You're not on, are you?" I said, "No, we're not on." He goes, whispers one thing in my ear. Goes, "We'll talk." I was just like, "All right, let's do it. Let's have a discussion." So,
So Red Bull's going to be a sponsor?
yeah, yada yada yada. The Hangouts now also brought to you by Red Bull as opposed to just White Claw. All right, so a couple of predictions here. Let's start with the game. Gage, did you say 6-4 on our show this morning?
Yeah.
Is that was on Oilstream? Yeah, 6-4. Wow. That would be a doozy to be at. Yeah. Connor Brown goal?
No.
Ooh, Cory Perry goal.
I'm not crazy.
Yeah. I did predict yesterday on one of the programs here at Edmonton Sports Talk that Connor Brown will score a goal in the second half of the season, and it'll be an odd man rush or a breakaway shorthanded. That's how it happens. That's how it doesn't get a sniff 5-on-5, but that's how it happens on a penalty kill situation. Cass, what do you think happens tonight?
I think I'm going to go 4-3 Edmonton. It's going to be a tight one.
Well,
now normally I'd say if this was pre-break, I'd say 3-2, but I think there's going to be a little bit more slop today.
Yeah,
so I'm going 4-3 Edmonton.
You guys are liking this overplay then, hey?
And my crazy bid is Connor Brown scores goal number 4
tonight. Wow, I thought I was the one drinking White Claws all morning, but here you are. That's good.
Okay. You really gotta have a hot take every once in a while, guys. You gotta have a hot take. So
you kicked the hornet's nest in the nasty chat, Dusty. You've piqued the interest.
Oh no! It's nothing for everybody who's like, no. It's not. He's not leaving the Oilers in chat to come to Edmonton Sports Talk. I'll just clarify that right now. It also wasn't he leaving media to go be a scout, which Low Tide suggested in one of his articles.
No, he's leaving media to be a GM.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be something?
That's what's happening.
Okay, so far, guys, I have eaten a piece of pizza, a banana, and a king-size Kit Kat bar. And I will say, the Kit Kat bars down here are not near as good as they are in Canada. That blew my mind. I got a king. I was starving because I had a piece of pizza, and that's all I'd eaten since we got here. And I didn't have time to go anywhere else after the first show. So I just grabbed a banana to try to be healthy and then a king-size Kit Kat to equal out the healthiness of the banana. But like the chocolate was very much lacking on the Kit Kat here in the United States. I was very disappointed in it. Very disappointed. But what's next? What do you think I should get next?
Go get a steak.
Another slice of pizza?
No, go get a steak.
I told you, Dusty, Lou's Diner. Go get the biscuits and gravy. Like full diner food. Yeah. It's only open till 3. It's what is it? It's 11 o'clock there, or it's 12 o'clock. It'll be 12 o'clock. Here, yeah. It's only open till 3, like every day. It closes at 3 o'clock.
Is this on the strip? Is this walkable?
I don't know. I have no idea. But
we're not taking a
$80.
Yeah.
Well, you skip it. Skip the dishes.
We visited a cannabis store here last night. Some certain needs that had to be fulfilled for members of staff, and we had to take a cab there. Like I thought it would just be like on the strip. You just walk into like how like Plant Life and Value Buds and everything in Canada. This thing they had to take our ID to go in, and then you had to like wait in line to order. It was as close. Like it was wild. I couldn't believe how restricted everything was. It was crazy last night. All right, one more prediction before we let you go. What's Tommy Gazzola get up to tonight? He's got post game. Then what happens to Tom Gazzola? Is he on the hangout tomorrow morning?
Annulment number 4, wedding number 5, annulment number 5 by the morning.
Just hopefully he can get someone in the audio visual department to get Jesse Puljujarvi's tribute video by the time he gets back to Edmonton, so we can get all that stuff done and then worry about the annulment later.
How do you know Stoff's whisper to me wasn't Puljujarvi tribute video?
It could have been.
It wasn't.
Could have been.
It was.
I love it.
It'll be the whisper. The whisper known around the world. It'll be good. All right, that's going to do it for 2 guys and a goalie. Guys, thanks a lot for popping in. I might be in worse condition come Thursday, but we'll see. So far, day one's been going pretty good here at EST Live in Vegas, courtesy YEG Edmonton International Airport. Enjoy the game tonight, boys. I know we will. And who's Gage? Are you doing pre?
Oh, you didn't know?
Mhm.
It's me and Cass, the tag team champions. Tag team champions. I got pre and Cass has got post.
All right, and Tommy Gazzola will be over at T-Mobile Arena for both of those. That's going to do it for two guys and a goalie today. Pregame show 6:30 Edmonton time with Tom Gazzola, assuming he has secured an internet connection. He will be joining you at 6:30 tonight for pregame. We'll talk to you guys then. See you later, boys.
Later.